Coming up next, we're giving you an inside look at one of the biggest Christmas events in Centre County. Also coming up, volunteer firefighters are on the decline. Find out how you can extinguish this trend.
Plus, the theme for Thon 2019 was revealed at the Family Carnival this weekend. Find out what it is up next. The Centre County Report starts now.
Good afternoon, I'm John Gross.
And I'm Claire Going. Thanks for joining us. Former President George H.W. Bush's casket is in the nation's capital today. The public can pay their respects to the former president in the Capitol's Rotunda until 7 a.m. tomorrow. The 41st president died on Friday at his home in Houston, Texas, after years of health issues. He was 94 years old. His wife, First Lady Barbara Bush, died in April.
Being cold homeless at this time of the year can be extra challenging. Thankfully, there are some local organizations looking to help those without a warm place to sleep. Reporter Alex Coley has the story of one overnight shelter.
Out of the Cold is a traveling emergency shelter in Centre County.
Centre County residents 18 and older are invited to use the program as long as they need it.
Penn State's overall enrollment is down over the last year, according to new numbers released by the university. Enrollment for fall 2018 is just over 97,000. That's down 1.7% from last year. The number of students at University Park stayed about the same, but overall enrollment at 19 Commonwealth campuses dropped by 5%. Penn State is the 6th largest employer in Pennsylvania.
Some changes are on the way for next year's Penn State football games, including ticket prices and parking. Public season football tickets will increase by $2 per game for a total price hike of $14. The price of season car and overnight RV parking will stay the same, but there are big changes coming to game day traffic and parking to help ease congestion. After working with an outside consultant, they'll create 4 traffic zones where fans will have to enter the traffic flow. There will also be designated game day parking for general lots. The names and numbers of some lots will change too.
Each year, Penn State's Thon Family Carnival brings together student organizations raising money for pediatric cancer research and the families they hope to help. I visited the carnival Sunday afternoon, the last big event before Thon weekend in February. Take a look. The 2019 Thon Family Carnival brought kids, families, and Penn State students together Sunday afternoon. This year, Thon weekend starts February 15th. You can make a donation at thon.donordrive.com.
Former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg's charity is donating $50 million to help 10 states fight the opioid epidemic. Pennsylvania will be the first state to get funding from Bloomberg Philanthropies. At least $10 million will go to prevention and treatment programs in the state. In 2017, Pennsylvania had 5,400 residents die from drug overdoses. That's the highest number in the country.
Some new data from PennDOT shows the number of vehicle crashes are down across the board. Centre County's number of crashes in 2017 decreased from the previous year by 65 down to 1,246. Fatal crashes are also down from 20 to 15. The study also shows seatbelt usage in crashes in Centre County at 91%, well above the statewide average.
Despite recent anti-Semitic events in our nation and in our community, people in State College made sure hope was stronger than hate. Peter Kwan has the story.
Thank you all for coming tonight, and happy Hanukkah.
On Sunday, December 2nd, Zeta Beta Tau, a Jewish fraternity at Penn State, lit the first 2 branches of their menorah in celebration of Hanukkah.
In addition to Zeta Beta Tau's menorah, Chabad of Penn State will host a Hanukkah grand lighting on December 5th. That's at 5 p.m. on the Old Main Lawn.
One of the biggest holiday events of the season happens this weekend. It's Bellefonte's Victorian Christmas, and that's just one of many events locally. Reporter Cherish Kruss is live in Bellefonte with more. Cherish?
As you can see, it's starting to look a lot like Christmas here in the Diamond in Bellefonte, and that has some people in the holiday spirit. This weekend will be the 37th annual Victorian Christmas. Last weekend, I got the chance to visit another Christmas celebration in our area. Let's take a look.
As we near the holidays, more and more towns are taking time to celebrate the season.
Along with Victorian Christmas, Lamont will be hosting a German Christmas market this weekend. Lots of holiday events in our area to look forward to. Live in Bellefonte, I'm Cherish Crust for the Center County Report.
Thanks, Cherish. Coming up, will the wintry weather mix continue through this week? We take a look at the 7-day forecast.
Plus, a busy sports week in our area. Also coming up, a drop in fire company volunteers is leaving the state in a crisis. Find out more next.
A recent study by the state legislature found an alarming decline in the number of volunteer and fire rescue personnel. I spoke with one local official to find out the cause and potential solutions.
I think you would be shocked if you looked at the number of fire companies, volunteer fire companies throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that have less than 6 active members. How do you do that?
It's estimated that volunteer firefighters save the state roughly $10 billion annually.
Well, this weekend we officially had our wettest year on record with almost 60 inches of precipitation.
I'm Dave Carell with sports.
Over the weekend, all different kinds of Penn State students got the chance to participate in Frozen the Musical. Brianna Wright has the story.
This is Haley Smith.
If you're interested in participating with Harmony, they're in the Hub Robeson Center on Wednesdays from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. That's all for today's newscast. You can find more of our stories on our website, centercountyreport.com.
And you can follow us anytime for breaking news on our Twitter feed, that's at Center County REP, or on our Facebook page. We also have a Center County Report Instagram. Join us for our next newscast on Friday. Have a good day.
Breck Hall was electric over the weekend as Penn State volleyball knocked off a big-time rival. We'll look ahead to what's next for the team. Also coming up, Penn State football is looking to bounce back after another rough conference matchup and a last-minute loss. We're live at Beaver Stadium with the latest next in sports. I'm Kate Miller with sports. Penn State football came into last weekend with its highest ranking of the season. Many expected a bounce-back performance after a bye week, but that wasn't the case. John Gross is live at Beaver Stadium with more on the Michigan State game and looking ahead to Indiana. John?
Kate, back to you.
Thanks, John. In local high school football, the Clearfield Bison kept their perfect season hopes alive as they head into a game at Phillipsburg Osceola this week with an undefeated 8-0 record. Clearfield traveled to Bald Eagle on Friday at Alumni Stadium for senior night. Clearfield scored 35 points in the first half to Bald Eagle's 1 touchdown of the game. Bald Eagle could not keep up in the second half as Clearfield came out on top with a final score of 42-7. The Clearfield defense was dominant throughout the game, as was Bison quarterback Isaac Rumry, who went 7 for 10 and 202 yards passing. Bald Eagle, now 7-1, takes on Jersey Shore at home this week. Penn State men's hockey plays its second home series this weekend after an opening weekend sweep against Clarkson. The Lions are now up to number 10 in the USCHO poll. On Thursday night, Penn State was able to edge out a win 4-3 as Brandon Byro scored the game-winning goal in the third period of the non-conference matchup. The momentum continued on Friday, this time with the Nittany Lions rolling over the Golden Knights by a score of 5-1. This was the first ever opening weekend sweep for Penn State. The next game is Friday against Niagara. At least one Penn State team is living up to the hype. Women's volleyball took down number 5 Nebraska at home and heads into a 2-game stretch against Rutgers tomorrow with a 6-match winning streak. The Nittany Lions hadn't beaten Nebraska since 2014, but the 7-match losing streak came to an end on Saturday. 2 big kills by Tori Grinnell gave Penn State the advantage in the first set. The Nittany Lions lost the next 2 sets, but libero Kendall White had 13 digs and gave Penn State momentum heading into the 5th set. The Lions never trailed in the final set, and Nia Reed led the way with 20 kills to knock off Nebraska. Penn State women's soccer extended its winning streak to 5 with 2 wins over the weekend, one of them against number 21 Rutgers. The Lions head to Bloomington to take on Indiana on Thursday. It was a defensive battle on Sunday as both teams went scoreless heading into halftime. The Nittany Lions were determined to give the student section something to cheer for, since the first time they had reason to make any noise was during halftime's egg and spoon race. But Marissa Shiva couldn't have asked for a better time to net her first goal of the season 3 minutes into the second half. Penn State shut out Rutgers for a 1-0 win. It was their 200th Big Ten regular season victory. That's all for sports. Now back to you at the anchor desk. Coming up next, Penn State women's volleyball evened up its season series against Ohio State after a dominant conference matchup in one very crazy play. Plus, a Canadian university traveled to Happy Valley to take on men's hockey for the 4th edition of the international game. Sports is next. I'm Kate Miller with sports. Penn State men's hockey begins the regular season Thursday at home against Clarkson. But first, the Nittany Lions had a chance to take the ice in an international exhibition game over the weekend.
Penn State hosted Brock University from Ontario for the international exhibition game. The Lions are gearing up for a grueling Big Ten season ahead.
Big Ten hockey is just electric. Every team in the league is fast. Every team in the league is big, strong. They'll hit you hard. They can outskill anybody, and that's all what makes it such exciting hockey.
Penn State opened the scoring early, following a defensive turnover by Nikita Pavlichev for a 1-0 lead in the first. Following a strong defensive start, Penn State continued the energy, with Brandon Byro scoring the second goal just 30 seconds into the second period. Brock was able to put up 2 goals in the third, tying the score at 2. But Byro netted another goal, carrying the Nittany Lions to a 3-2 win. Looking ahead for the Penn State men's hockey team, they will play at least 6 primetime national television matchups in the 2018-2019 regular season. Head coach Guy Godowski focused on expectations and the level of play for the Nittany Lions in the Big Ten this season.
You know, right now, the quality of this league demands that you try to stay ahead of the curve, and you do have to get better. It's amazing the level of detail that you have to get to right now, and the quality of this league forces you to do that. You can't be average at all in anything.
Godowski said the players and coaching staffs in the Big Ten are excellent competitors, and he hopes his team's attention to detail will help them succeed.
Penn State takes on Clarkson Thursday night and Friday night. Both games start at 7. In local high school football, Penns Valley is 4-3 after beating Bellefonte on Friday night. The Rams celebrated homecoming in Spring Mills, packing their stadium for an area matchup versus the Bellefonte Red Raiders. Coming off a loss to Bellefonte in their last meeting, the Rams showed dominance in the first half, scoring 35 points. The effort continued for the Penns Valley in the second half as the defense held Bellefonte to 0 points. The 42-27 win dropped Bellefonte's record to 5-2. Penns Valley will play at home on Friday against Bishop Carroll. Penn State's bye week ends on Saturday as the Nittany Lions take on Michigan State. Coming off a loss, many fans felt for the second straight year that Penn State's playoff chances were decided by just 1 game, but that may not be the case. Before the Ohio State loss, Penn State had a 24% chance to make the playoff. Now that number has dropped to 13, according to ESPN. That's still the 6th best odds in the country, and if Penn State wins out but does not win the division, the Lions still have a 42% chance of making the playoffs. They're favored in every game outside of the trip to Michigan. They do not control their own destiny anymore, but losses by LSU, Oklahoma, and Auburn over the weekend help the cause. So forget that 4th and 5 play call because the Nittany Lions' playoff hopes are still alive. And Penn State is again warning fans about counterfeit football tickets as Saturday's homecoming game approaches. The university says more than 300 counterfeit tickets were confiscated at the Nittany Lions whiteout game against Ohio State on September 29th. The Penn State women's volleyball team will take on Purdue tomorrow after beating Ohio State 3-0 in an epic whiteout game over the weekend. Rec Hall was packed on Saturday night as the Nittany Lions swept the Buckeyes. The crowd was energetic and encouraged the team to get some revenge against their rival who beat them 3-1 earlier in the season. In the first set, Penn State dominated with a quick 25-13 win. An epic kick save by redshirt senior Brianna Weiskircher revived the team and the crowd in the second set, which ended with a score of 25-22. Penn State won the third set 25-22 to sweep the Buckeyes. Senior Nia Reed had an outstanding 15 kills in the game. That's all for sports. Now back to you at the anchor desk.